Sometimes we wonder, is this desire in my heart from God, or is it just me? You see someone, you feel drawn to them, there's something about them that sparks something deep inside of you, and you begin to question, Lord, is this from you? Friend, God is not the author of confusion. He is the author of peace, of purpose, and of perfect timing. When a desire is truly from God, it will bear fruit that brings life, not stress. It will bring clarity, not chaos. It will align with His Word and His will, not just your feelings. Let me tell you, the first sign your desire for someone is from God, it brings peace, not pressure. That peace isn't just a surface calm, it's a deep-rooted confidence in your spirit. Even if you don't know every detail about the future, you know deep down, this feels right. I don't have to force it. I don't have to beg for attention. I'm not walking on eggshells. The peace of God will guard your heart when He is in it. Scripture says, let the peace of God rule in your hearts. That means peace is your umpire. It makes the call. If peace is missing, God may be saying, not this, not now. When a relationship is from God, it brings with it a peace that surpasses understanding. It's not forced, it's not manipulated, and it's not built on fear or anxiety. Instead, it flows with a calm assurance. Even if everything isn't perfect on the outside, even if you're still learning each other, there's something in your spirit that says, this feels right. That's the kind of peace only God can give. So many people get caught up chasing what looks good, what feels exciting, or what meets some emotional need in the moment. But feelings can be deceptive. Emotions rise and fall. Excitement fades. But peace, true peace, that's a gift from God. And when you find yourself in a relationship where peace rules the atmosphere, where you're not overthinking every text, where you don't feel like you have to perform or pretend, that's a strong sign that God's hand is on it. God doesn't call you into relationships that exhaust you mentally or emotionally. If you're constantly doubting your worth, questioning your place, or trying to earn someone's attention or love, that's not peace, that's pressure. And pressure like that is not from God. That's the kind of pressure that comes from insecurity, from fear, from the need to control or be controlled. But where God is, there is liberty. There is freedom to be yourself, freedom to grow, freedom to love without fear of rejection. Peace doesn't mean the relationship is perfect or without challenges. It means that even in the midst of challenges, there's a foundation of trust and understanding. You're not constantly in turmoil. You're not walking on eggshells. You're not having to convince yourself that it's right. When something is from God, you won't have to fight for clarity. He is not the author of confusion. If you're in constant emotional chaos, that may be God waving a red flag saying, this isn't my best for you. The right relationship will bring a quiet confidence, not chaos. You'll find yourself thinking clearly, making better decisions, and feeling more secure. Not because the other person is perfect, but because the relationship is built on something real. It's built on communication, respect, mutual values, and most importantly, God at the center. And where God is the foundation, peace follows. That kind of peace will guard your heart when doubts creep in. It will anchor you when things get tough. It will give you strength when you're tempted to fall back into old patterns. Peace is not passive, it's powerful. It protects your mind, it stabilizes your emotions. It reminds you that you don't have to settle for less than what God has for you. You should never feel like you're constantly striving to keep someone. You shouldn't have to shrink yourself to fit their expectations. If it's truly from God, you'll feel seen, valued, and loved for who you are, not just who you pretend to be. That's peace, and it's worth waiting for. Sometimes we ignore that still small voice inside because we want something so badly. But peace doesn't shout, it whispers. It gently says, this is right. Or it tugs on your spirit and says something's off. Learn to pay attention to that, because more than red flags, more than chemistry, more than advice from friends, peace is your confirmation. When peace is present, God is near. When peace is absent, it may be a sign to pause and pray. So if you're wondering whether that desire in your heart is from God or from yourself, ask, does this relationship bring me peace, or does it bring me pressure? God's will doesn't weigh you down, it lifts you up. It gives you room to breathe. It gives you room to be. And when you have peace, You don't have to chase anything. You simply walk in what God has already prepared. One of the clearest signs that your desire for someone is from God is this: they inspire you to grow spiritually. They don't just make you feel good, they make you want to be better, not out of pressure or performance, but because their presence naturally pulls you closer to your Creator. When God brings someone into your life, He doesn't just consider your emotional needs, He considers your eternal destiny. And anyone He connects you with will help you walk deeper into purpose, not away from it. A person who is from God will never distract you from your faith. They won't pull you away from prayer, church, or your time with God. In fact, you'll find yourself more in tune with your spiritual life because they challenge you to keep growing. You'll start praying more, thinking more deeply, and desiring more of God's presence because they help ignite that fire within you. And that's no coincidence. God will always send people who complement the calling He's placed on your life. It's easy to get caught up in the emotional highs of a relationship, the butterflies, the excitement, the attention. It can all feel so right. But what happens when the emotional thrill fades? What's left when the spark isn't as bright? A relationship built on just emotions will eventually run dry. But one that's rooted in God will sustain itself through every season. When your desire for someone draws you towards spiritual growth and divine alignment, that's a strong indicator that God is in it. Ask yourself, do they support your walk with God? Do they pray with you? Do they respect your boundaries? Do they speak life into your purpose? These are not just good traits, they are essential signs. A relationship that draws you into sin, confusion, or compromise is not from God. God doesn't send people into your life to weaken your convictions. He sends people to strengthen your faith. When someone is truly from Him, you'll feel spiritually nourished, not spiritually drained. In fact, when a person is from God, they won't compete with your relationship with Him. They'll enhance it. They won't make you choose between them and your purpose. They'll walk beside you as you fulfill it. You'll find that the more time you spend with them, the more you want to worship, the more you want to pray, the more you want to chase after God with your whole heart. That's not just attraction. That's divine connection. This doesn't mean the person has to be perfect or at the same spiritual level as you. It simply means they have a heart that's open to God. They're not pulling you away from Him. They're walking with you toward Him. They support your growth. They encourage your vision. They honor your calling. That kind of alignment can't be forced. It has to be orchestrated by heaven. Sometimes we hold on to people because we think they'll eventually change, or we fear being alone. But if someone is consistently pulling you away from your values, your convictions, and your intimacy with God, that's not love. That's a distraction. And God loves you too much to let you settle for a connection that compromises your destiny. God is very intentional. He knows the desires of your heart, and He knows who will help you become all He created you to be. When He sends someone, it won't feel like a detour. It will feel like alignment. It will feel like coming home. It will feel like grace in human form. So if you're wondering whether your desire for someone is from God, ask yourself this: do they push me toward God or pull me away from Him? The answer to that question may just reveal everything you need to know, because when God is in it, His presence will always grow, not shrink, in your life. Timing is everything. You can meet the right person at the wrong time and end up in the wrong situation. Just because something feels good in the moment doesn't mean it's aligned with God's purpose. One of the clearest ways to know whether your desire for someone is from God is when the timing isn't just convenient, it's divine. God is a God of order, of seasons, of preparation. And when He brings someone into your life, it's not random, it's purposeful. It's time to perfection. There are moments when you think you're ready, your heart is longing, your emotions are stirred, and it feels like everything is lining up. But God sees what we can't see. He knows what's on the other side of the waiting. He knows the growth that still needs to happen in you and maybe in the other person too. When the desire is from Him, He will make sure the timing is right, not just the feeling. God doesn't bless you according to impatience. He blesses you according to readiness. When your desire for someone comes with God's timing, there's a sense of alignment. Things fall into place, not through striving, but through surrender. You don't have to manipulate, force, or control the situation. You're not trying to chase or convince someone to be in your life. Instead, you see how God begins to open doors, orchestrate moments, and create divine connections. You recognize that this is more than coincidence, it's providence. Many times we try to rush what God is still preparing. We want the relationship before we've healed. We want the promise before we've been positioned. But God cares more about your future than your feelings in the moment. If He's telling you to wait, it's not because He's withholding something good, it's because He's preparing something greater. A relationship built on your timing might collapse under pressure, but one built on His timing will carry the weight of purpose. The wrong timing can make a good thing feel like a burden, but the right timing makes even hard things feel light. That's because grace shows up when it's time. When God says now, He provides the strength, the wisdom, the resources, and the peace to walk it out. You don't have to wonder if you're forcing something, because the flow is there. The conversations are intentional. The progress is steady. The vision is shared. You're not chasing potential. You're living in purpose. God's timing will often challenge your patience. It will stretch your faith, but it will also protect your heart. Sometimes He delays a relationship because He knows you're still healing, or maybe the other person is still growing, or maybe He's developing something in you that will prepare you to love in a healthier, deeper way. Trust that God is not ignoring your desire. He's refining it so that when the time is right, it can be sustained. When your desire for someone aligns with God's purpose and timing, you don't just feel love, you feel clarity. You don't feel anxious, you feel anchored. You're not constantly questioning where you stand because God has already made it clear where He's taking you. That clarity is a gift, and it's a sign that He's in it. So if you're asking whether your desire is from God or from yourself, take a look at the timing. Are you trying to make it happen, or is God making it clear? Are you restless, or are you rooted in peace? God's timing never comes early, and it's never late. It's always on time. When He says it's time, you won't have to chase, beg, or stress. You'll just walk into what He already ordained. Trust His timing. It's part of His promise. Emotions are powerful. They can feel so real, so intense, that we begin to think they're confirmation all by themselves. But feelings alone are not enough to determine whether a desire for someone is from God. Emotions can rise and fall, but divine confirmation remains steady. One of the most important signs that your desire for someone is truly from God is when there is confirmation, not just emotion. Emotion may draw you in, but confirmation gives you clarity. Emotion says, I want this, but confirmation says, God is in this. There's a difference. When a desire is birthed out of your own longing, it often comes with confusion, anxiety, and overthinking. But when it's from God, He will confirm it through peace, alignment, and even the wise voices He places in your life. Confirmation won't shout, but it will settle your spirit. God is not the author of chaos or fear. When He is in something, He brings order. You'll find that your prayers align with your desires. You'll hear messages, scriptures, or godly advice that reinforce what you're sensing in your heart. That's not coincidence. That's divine confirmation. God has a way of speaking through repetition. He'll keep placing the same word in front of you, using different people and situations to nudge you gently and clearly. When you see those patterns, take note. That's God whispering, yes, I'm in this. Emotion can make you rush ahead, but confirmation teaches you to wait. When your heart is racing and you're desperate to move forward, take a step back and ask, Lord, are you confirming this, or am I creating it in my own head? God will never lead you into a relationship that requires you to compromise your values or silence your discernment. If you have to constantly justify your decision, there may be a lack of true confirmation. Divine confirmation often comes through peace that doesn't make sense. You may not know all the details, you may not have all the answers, but there's a quiet assurance that keeps you grounded. That peace is a sign that God is working behind the scenes. It's His way of saying, keep going. I'm in this. But if all you have is emotional highs followed by spiritual unrest, then you might be pursuing something God never intended. Don't ignore the red flags just because your emotions are loud. And don't dismiss the green lights just because your mind is fearful. Let God confirm what your heart feels. Seek Him first, and He will make it clear. When something is from Him, you won't need to force it. He will speak through His Word. He will speak through godly counsel. He will speak through inner peace. You don't have to manipulate the outcome. God will reveal the truth. Another way confirmation shows up is through alignment. Your values match. Your vision matches. Your desire to serve God matches. It's not just about liking the same things. It's about moving in the same direction. A relationship rooted in God's purpose will always come with clarity, not confusion. You won't be trying to convince them to pursue God. You'll be walking that road together. If you're in a place where you're trying to figure out if your desire for someone is from God or just emotion, pause and pray. God is not trying to keep you in the dark. He wants to confirm what He's placed in your heart. He wants you to walk with confidence, not fear. Ask Him for signs, for wisdom, for discernment, and then pay attention. He is faithful to confirm what He begins. Emotions can start something, but only confirmation can sustain it. If it's from God, you won't have to chase peace. It will already be present. Let His voice be louder than your feelings, and trust that He knows exactly what and who you need at the right time, in the right way. One of the most powerful ways to discern whether your desire for someone is from God is by looking at how the relationship reflects His character. God is love, and His love is not selfish, manipulative, or inconsistent. It's patient, kind, honest, forgiving, and strong. When God brings someone into your life, that relationship will begin to mirror the qualities of His heart. It won't be perfect, because people aren't perfect, but it will carry evidence of His presence. A relationship that reflects God's character produces fruit. That means you'll see patience in how you're treated. You'll see kindness in the words spoken, respect in the actions, and humility in the way conflict is handled. God never forces. He never pressures. He leads gently. And a relationship formed under His guidance will carry that same gentleness. If someone is constantly demanding, pushing your boundaries, or causing inner unrest, that is not a reflection of God's character. When God is in a relationship, there's honor. Honor for your heart, your values, and your journey. Love from God doesn't shame you for your past or use your weaknesses against you. It lifts you up, covers you with grace, and encourages your growth. If someone continually pulls you away from your identity in Christ, that's a red flag. But if they challenge you to rise into your calling, to stay true to your convictions, and to keep God at the center, that's a relationship with divine fingerprints on it. God is also a God of peace, and that peace doesn't disappear in hard times. It stays. You may have disagreements, but they won't escalate into destruction. You may walk through storms, but you won't feel abandoned. A relationship rooted in God reflects the calm of His Spirit. When peace becomes your foundation, love can grow. But if your connection is built on constant anxiety, tension, or emotional games, it is not showing the nature of God. Truth is another part of God's character. He doesn't hide or deceive, and neither will someone He sent. In a God-honoring relationship, there is transparency. You don't feel like you're guessing where you stand. You don't have to walk on eggshells or pretend to be something you're not. Instead, you can be fully seen and still fully loved. There is space for honesty, and there's grace to grow. That kind of relationship cultivates safety, not fear. Forgiveness is another key element. God is quick to forgive, and when someone reflects His character, they will also show mercy. It doesn't mean they ignore issues or tolerate toxic behavior, but they choose to forgive instead of keeping score. They communicate instead of retaliating. They seek peace over being right. This is the kind of love that reflects the Father, a love that gives space for healing and second chances. Humility is also crucial. Jesus served with a towel before He wore a crown. In a relationship that reflects God, there is mutual service. Both people are willing to listen, to grow, and to love sacrificially. There's no competition, just collaboration. There's no ego, just empathy. When someone reflects God's character, they're not concerned with being impressive, they're committed to being impactful. If you want to know whether your desire for someone is from God, ask yourself, does this relationship look like Him? Does it show love, patience, kindness, truth, and peace? Does it build up or tear down? Is God glorified in how we treat each other? The answer to these questions will speak louder than any emotion ever could. You don't have to guess what God-ordained love looks like. His character is consistent and His fingerprints will be evident. If the relationship truly reflects who He is, you'll know, not just by how it feels, but by how it transforms you. Because when God writes the story, His nature becomes the narrative. And that's the kind of love worth waiting for. Passion can be exciting. It's that spark, that rush, that emotional high when you're around someone who makes your heart race. But passion alone isn't enough to sustain a God-ordained relationship. What truly sets a relationship apart, what marks it as divinely inspired, is purpose. When your desire for someone is from God, it won't just stir your feelings, it will awaken something deeper inside of you. It won't just be about attraction, it will be about assignment. There's a difference between chemistry and calling. You can have chemistry with many people, but calling connects you with the one who walks alongside your destiny. A relationship that comes from God will feel purposeful. It will align with your spiritual growth, your values, and the direction God is leading you. It won't distract you from your calling. It will confirm it. You'll feel stronger in your faith, bolder in your purpose, and more focused on the things that matter most. When a relationship is driven by purpose, it's not just about how the other person makes you feel. It's about how they make you grow. They challenge you to rise higher, to walk in integrity, to pursue your God-given dreams. They don't just flatter your emotions, they speak to your potential. They see the greatness in you and push you toward it with love, wisdom, and support, and you do the same for them. That's what makes it divine. It's not just emotional fulfillment, it's spiritual alignment. Passion fades, but purpose fuels. Passion wants the moment, but purpose sees the mission. When you're in a purposeful relationship, you're not just building a life together, you're building a legacy. You begin to ask, what can we do together that we couldn't do apart? That kind of connection is rare, and it only comes when God is in the center. Purpose will give you vision, it will give you direction, it will give you staying power when the feelings fluctuate. You can tell a relationship is purposeful when peace accompanies the passion. It's not all chaos and confusion. It's not a roller coaster of constant highs and lows. Instead, it's steady, secure, life-giving. You find yourself more grounded in who you are. You're not trying to prove your worth, you're living out your worth. Side by side with someone who sees it too, and together you begin to dream bigger, pray deeper, and walk more boldly. A God-ordained relationship will feel like a partnership, not a performance. You don't have to act like someone you're not just to be loved. You're free to be authentic because the love you're receiving is rooted in something higher than looks or charm. It's rooted in God's plan. You're not afraid of the future because you know the relationship was built with eternal things in mind. When you feel purpose, you also feel responsibility. You don't treat the relationship casually. You steward it. You pray over it. You protect it. You don't want to just enjoy the person. You want to honor them. Because you understand that this isn't just a relationship, it's an assignment. It's something God is trusting you with. And when both people carry that same level of reverence, it becomes something beautiful, strong and sacred. So if you're wondering whether your desire for someone is from God, ask yourself, do I feel purpose or just passion? Do they inspire your growth or just feed your feelings? Do they draw you closer to your calling or pull you away from it? The answers will tell you everything. God is not in the business of shallow connections. He creates divine partnerships for kingdom impact. Let your heart be stirred, yes, but let your spirit be led. When passion meets purpose and purpose is rooted in God's will, that's where true love begins. Not just for a season, but for a lifetime.